Hi everybody, welcome to Season 3, Episode 25 of The Hard Truth Inside the Football Injury Podcast, with me, Philip Heidson, and Darragh McAnthony, Chairman and co-owner of Peterborough United. Now, it's been some week, mostly people throwing crap at you, which I guess, another week, another set of crap to deal with. But let's start with the football first.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like a crap receiver, but this
right.
We're all fine, it's been a bit like that, hasn't it? So, but look, I've always said you have to be. I had this guy reach out to me on Instagram the other day. Ron can't lie, or I don't know what his name was or whatever, and he wants me to call him and talk him through buying a football club.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, not Peterborough, by the way. Just I think he wants to buy, a football club. And I was thinking to myself in the pool in Dubai. I'm now back, by the way. I was thinking I should set up a consultancy company and charge all these people from around the world who want to buy a football club. The information they will glean from me would be invaluable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you go about charging people. What would you charge? Would you charge them a set fee and then a management fee every month?
Yeah, I guess you would go with you want a fixed fee to start with.
Yeah,
and then some kind of contingency on what they end up doing.
You're getting what? Somebody with 17, 18 years experience in the football industry, who's kind of seen everything. Because you've got all these people, particularly Americans and whatever, who dive in and buy clubs. And I always look at it and go, I wish you'd rang me, when I hear some of the things going on and some of the wages and some of the deals they're doing. And you just know that agents or whoever's around the scenes have got in there and got their jockeys down and fucking given them a right good scene too. And, I often wonder, if you paid me a big consultancy fee and then ongoing monthly, fee, I could give you unbelievable fucking advice to navigate and whatever. But then obviously they'll say, you're getting a lot of shit thrown at you all the time. I go, yeah, but that's 17, 18 years in the game. That's going to happen. So I guess, I was just going off topic there, but I will speak to Ron and maybe I'll get him on the podcast and we can do it live, my advice if he's up for that.
And if you do need an agent for that endeavor, please everyone email me first and I'll just get my 10% on top of that.
You got to come up with a fee amount because obviously it's got to be worth my time. And we can set up this consultancy business for advising people all over the world buying clubs, big, small, wherever. And, it would be unbelievable advice. They would save a lot of money. Even if I charged them $100,000 for the first bit of advice, it would probably save them 7 figures, and the price of what they're going to buy a club for and all that. But anyway, getting back.
Now, if they listen to this podcast, it might turn them off doing it at all.
The reality is we always like to be very transparent and just say it how it is. And that goes against me a lot of times. And I've turned off, a minority of posh fans who are fed up listening to me or fed up about whatever else. But I can't change who I am. It's, it is who I am. We had crap this week? Yeah, we've had stuff again this week. Every week is something, it's been like that. I kind of want to get, the season finished, press the reboot button, really get my hands on things and just change a lot of things so we're not in this position again. But it's been a very sobering, I would say, 15, 16 months just with various things going on. So yeah, it's been a mad 7 days. From being told about I messages from journalists about Reading and the points deductions and the PFL. Then we had the season tickets being released, which I was really excited about. And then obviously the political thing over the weekend, and before that was the Charlton thing and the game. It's just like So you go one by one. The Reading thing, can't really say much about it. We've been monitoring and watching it since last season. And even thinking last season about something because they were guilty of certain things and we finished 4 points behind them, but I don't want to make a big stink of it. I'm not saying we're suing them, we're not suing them. Our lawyers, people approached us about it and whatever else, and we'll just see, and whatever. So that's there. Don't want big headlines about it. A lot of people have already made statements from me on various media things. I haven't spoke to anyone in the media. I haven't made any comment whatsoever, and I'm not going to. It's not professional. We'll let that play out. The season ticket thing, we have a marketing team that are new and very good and very enthusiastic. And the guy who's running it, lovely guy, really enthusiastic. He's only been on the job a few weeks, and I feel for him. He's getting hammered.
What happened?
I want to protect him because I feel like that over all my staff. What happened was first of all, the fans groups came to us a few weeks ago As you know, inflation's killing everyone.
Yeah.
And it's no different for the club. And I would say most people are putting prices up because they have to. Because the cost of energy, electricity, staffing costs, catering, everything's just gone through the roof. Say everything's up.
Yeah.
And already in a League One budget, that's horrible. So we have to come to a decision. What do we do with prices? Do we, if everything's up 10, 12, 13%, do we nudge the prices up 4 or 5%? That kind of thing. And the fans groups came to us and said, look, our fans are getting hammered financially, this, and this. So myself, Jason, we had a conversation with Chris, with Leighton, the brain trust at Peterborough, Alex, everyone involved, Phil, Dawn, and said, look, maybe the right thing to do is to freeze. And I know there's a freeze in place for fans who were very good to us during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Also fans who are not affected by that would be affected by a price rise. So we made the decision. And people start throwing at us, well, you're already expensive. We've just been in the championship. We've got a wage bill that's like the biggest we've ever had at this level. Cut me some fucking slack here for a moment, So we made the decision based on fans groups and hearing them, okay, we'll freeze the prices.
Mm-hmm.
We'll come out with our prices. We spoke to the marketing team, come up with a really good campaign. They came up with this unbelievable video they filmed, the campaign. It was a really good campaign. And every year around this time, we always have little hints about what's coming.
Yeah.
No different last year. And all of a sudden, you can see the little marketing bits go out, and then people are talking about stadiums and talking about signing Mbappe and Joe Ward contract extensions. And it's like, straight away, I'm thinking, oh, fuck, here we go again. And it's like, usually in any other given year, it would be met with fucking love that, love the campaign, love the way it was done. But you get the people who are really not against us, but just negative about us at the moment, who jump on it straight away. And then that sets off a chain reaction. And then you get the other fans who are always very protective of the club, and even me to some extent, who straight away then come in and go, now hang on, it's a really good video, back off. Don't know what you're moaning about. So I like the marketing team's work. We as a club like it. It will run a test of time. They've started very well, the sales, so we can't complain. We're ahead of where we were last year, and that's always what you want to see. God bless him. He emailed me. Our marketing manager was just like, oh, sorry. I'm like, don't apologize. You've done a really good job. It's not fair. Just relax. Want to take the pressure off you. All is good. Carry on with all the little project we've given you to do. So it's always difficult when you come into a new job. Never mind at a stage where you've got to start doing things, I would say to some of the fans, there's always a human being on the other side of these things. Yeah, okay, you can troll me, whatever. I can deal with that. But it's a new one. Just give them a chance, okay? They're very good. And then it's like you see on it, the hammer CEO, Leighton. It's just like, guys, these people are human beings with families. They're working their guts off for the club at the moment. They're like putting in hours. Like, it's tough. So you want to have a go at me, fine, but just drum that down on the guys that work for the club, because they don't deserve any of that. You know what I mean? And then obviously we go on to then the political stuff. I had no idea.
So for those that haven't seen it, there was a $5,000 donation made in the club's name to the Tories.
We have to have Kieran Maguire on. He loves stirring the fucking pot. So I got to get him on a podcast, motherfucker. And I mean that fondly, by the way. But obviously he's found something somewhere that was released and announced, and I've seen it. I don't know when I saw it. Was it Friday? I'm just like, oh, for fuck's sake, here we go again. I was on a 17-hour flight, and I'm just like, give me a break for 30 days. 30 days without anything going on, please. So looking into the whole thing, I did not make the donation. I believe, and I don't want to get this wrong or whatever else, but somebody made it, and there was an issue with their payments, and they asked the club to do it on their behalf, and then was going to repatriate the club. It's nothing to do with Peterborough United. So it'll get cleaned up. I promise you, we would never go left or right. And football clubs shouldn't get involved in politics. Mm-hmm. And we always have our little to-dos. And again, anyone writing an article on this, by the way, again, don't be salacious, don't be libelous, don't be defamatory. Do not say things that will mean I'm going to come for you legally, because I fucking will. Again, this is not me, okay? You know me. We both have our politics.
Yeah.
We both have our view on things. But I think we were agreed during COVID, no matter who was in charge, left or right, it wasn't handled properly. We spoke about this all the time.
Oh yeah, if you want to listen to old podcasts, you will hear plenty of anti-politics on both sides.
And not only that, I was vindicated with lots of the stuff I said about COVID, as you're now seeing with all the messages and stuff that's coming out, And the one thing that's really sure is, if you think I'm in love with a Tory government, after the way I spoke for 2 years on a COVID on our podcast about the lack of support when they were shutting us down, the lack of helping us out.
Putting money elsewhere, but not in football.
Correct. They didn't help us at all. I was more angry than anyone. And I had no love for the left or the right on it all. And I would never do that. And I have respect for everybody in politics in Peterborough who works left and right. And we have to navigate that as well, because as a club, you have to have a relationship with everybody, because at any given time they could be in power. I would never want to upset anyone. I would never want to try and favour anybody. We have to be down the line. So again, you know, I'm saying to people, and a lot of people are making a big thing about it. So I'm never going to buy a season ticket because of my political belief. Let's not make this political. Everyone and let's not come at me because I have certain beliefs, or I'm a Ron DeSantis supporter, or blah 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 blah. What are we talking about here? We're all adults. We're still allowed to have our own political beliefs, but I would never throw that on the club or run the club in that way. So again, and back that up with, we smashed Plymouth last week. Best performance forever, and then that leads to a different team plays on Tuesday, you know, whatever else after we smash Plymouth. And it's just like, well, I said different team, whatever, and we shit the bed, you know, red cards, this, that, whatever, and then we got to Sheffield Wednesday, big, strong, physical side, and we pretty much controlled the game in the first half, possession-wise, and they really didn't have that many chances. We had fuck all. We had probably 2 great chances in the whole game. But we weren't ambitious enough in the second half. If you want to get out of this league, you have to try and take it to teams like that. You sit in, you soak it up, but then you have to take it to them. And I just feel we never left our own half for most of the second half, bar the last 20 minutes. And that's not good enough with X amount of games left and X amount of points behind. So we really did shit the bed, you know, Tuesday and Saturday. And I've always said this, you know, it's been an ongoing theme. You know, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. You know, our 9 lives are gone. We're pretty much there now. It's win or go home time every time.
So the Charlton game, there was a controversial sending off, and I'm sure you can't talk too much about
I can't.
It from a referee perspective.
Okay.
You know, so for anyone who didn't see it, one of the posh players basically went into a 50-50 challenge, you know, maybe a little bit tough as they both getting off the floor. And the Charlton lad reacted to basically punched him in the face.
Yeah, Josh Knight's
red card for Josh Knight.
Josh Knight
stamped
out while they were in the melee. He shouldn't have stamped out. It was a red card for him.
Yeah. The
Charlton player basically hooked him. Everyone can see it. The Charlton managers like make comments afterwards, which are fucking nonsense. Do you know what I mean? Like, anyway. And you know, be a man, admit it's a red card for your player. You know, it was a red card for their player. You can blame the referee and everything else. It was his linesman who came over. The ref took his time, which I liked. When I was watching, I'm thinking, oh, they're down to 10. I hadn't seen Josh. Then I saw the replay, and I was like, Josh Knight deserves a red. Absolute stupid. You know, just when you're back in the team again, another experienced player. Like, what are you thinking? Fuck me. This is like, just when I'm thinking he's going to get a run of games, we're finally going to see the Josh Knight we want to see, and their player doesn't get red. And then the game is it's finished. It's a shit game. The next 45 minutes, they didn't hammer us. Our goalie didn't have a save to make. They can go on all they want. We had the best chances to win the game. If it's 11v11, we win the game. We weren't great. We were a bit lethargic in the first half. The same 11 who played Plymouth starts that game, we would have won that game comfortably, in my opinion.
So if you get a yellow card in the game, is there anything that can be done retroactively, or is that's it? That's your punishment?
That's it. It's your punishment. So I had a ref and his linesman who told my manager afterwards that it didn't happen, didn't see it. I don't know if the manager has an apology yet, but I'll let everyone else deal with that. I'll let the head of the referees deal with that, the people assessing the game. You know, it was the wrong decision. And at this level, we can't be having decisions like that, mate. We either just leave both of them on the pitch or you red card both of them. I'd rather both stayed in the pitch. Yeah. I always want 11v11. So, yeah, shit game. Finished that way. It was 0-0. Ugh.
Now, a positive to take away from Sheffield Wednesday is Ollie Norburn returning after a year out.
Yeah, really good to see Ollie plays, 70-odd minutes. He's a strong guy. Never any doubt he'd come back and he'd look the same. Tough on Hector. Hector's been phenomenal for 7 days, and I think Hector's brought out Jack Taylor's best football. The one thing Hector's done, calling Hector the protector, is he's made Jack Taylor's played his best football. And I would say probably not Jack's best game on Saturday, first time in 7-8 games. But Ollie's gone in and put a shift in and done his best. I felt they were in a lot of each other's space at times. Do you know what I mean? But it is what it is. Maybe I'm being overcritical. So disappointing Tuesday, disappointing Saturday. Here we go again tomorrow. So
you got two home games: Shrewsbury tomorrow. Well, tomorrow as we record this, and then Cheltenham on Saturday.
It's win or go home, Phil.
Yeah, you got to win both of those, don't you?
We have to win 5-6 in a row. Never mind. Yeah. Like if these fuckers have been driving me mad all season, I mean my players, and I mean that with love, they have to win 5 or 6 in a row. You know, there's so many teams ahead of us that are 8-9 points, 8-9 points, 8-9 points. We have to go into the final 6-7 games, 3-4 points. You know what I mean? This, you know, to be going into the final 6-7 games, 8-9, it's never going to happen. So it's now or never. It's win or go home. We're at that stage where every game we play is our last game, in my opinion, chance-wise. So to go into a game like Saturday and hardly have a shot on goal, well, the players need to look at that and go, So I know the manager and the staff are disappointed. But another bright news, our 18s won their 7th game in a row. They're from bottom of the league, they're into 2nd in the league. You see some of the teams in that league, Cat 2, you know, our 18s, our academy is thriving. It's booming. It's boom time for the academy. That excites me. Usually I'm like, oh, great, the 18s won. But nowadays I'm looking and going, fucking hell. Because it's different
look at the pipeline now.
Yeah, because Cat 2 is like you're playing better teams. We beat Hull, we beat Wigan, we beat, you know, you were playing better teams. It's not like playing your locals, teams around you. You're playing teams higher up. And the 18s are thriving and booming. So well done to Scarfy, well done to, you know, Jamal, all the staff involved with the 18s to 16s. They're all doing brilliant. So that's making me very happy, as is continually watching our young players be the best players on our team every Saturday and Tuesday. And they were again on Saturday. You know, like there was some of the, you know, Ronnie's performance imperious. You know what I mean? Like, you know, Harrison was brilliant. You know, our young players. So I've been begging all season for the experienced players to come to the party and not come for one game, come for a run of games. And I thought we were kind of there against Plymouth. It was young and old, you know, combined, brilliant, you know, whatever. But now, you know, red cards, stupid stuff, you know, it's just been like that, hasn't it, Phil? So
it's interesting because, you know, I mean, of course, famously, you can't win anything with kids, you know, going back how many years. But, you know, you've always built a team around young players.
Yeah.
Is it starting to make you think, as you look at next season, the balance? Like, we don't necessarily need as many senior players because we can trust the younger kids.
Our data this season, and I have all the data, our best players have been under 25. Our best players across the board have been under 25, like by a mile. It's not even close, by the way. You know what I mean? So when you look at players over 26 and you look at the players under 26, our best players have been the ones under 26. You know, we're a long way away from the summer, and people have mentioned words rebuild. There's no rebuild, it's a retool. A rebuild is when you're signing 20 players or whatever. But obviously I'm watching the 13 games we have left. I've got 8 weeks. I have to make plans. I have to make plans for manager. I have to make plans for staff. I have to make plans for the squad, you know, whatever. And there's going to be a retooling because, you know, I always want us to win promotion, but at the same time, it's tough financially. But I have to. It's the right balance, and there's no wholesale sales or whatever else. You know, there's a few deals to be done that way, and there's a few deals to be done this way. Plus, making sure our younger players from the academy step up as well. Next season, we're going to see more of Manny Fernandez, 6'5", hulk of a centre half. I dare say we probably could have done better defensively this season if he played more. He was there. Because you look at Sheffield Wednesday, they had 3 giant centre halves dealing with Jono. Like, and they were just like, and when they went up for corners, my God, it was like there was a shadow around our box, the size of them, you know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to seeing him. I'm looking forward to seeing Charlie, our, you know, captain of our 21s, who's been out on loan. I think he's really going to shine. I'm looking to see our young left back that we just gave a new contract to compete in there. There's some very, very good young players right on there that I'm looking forward to. But they're going to have help. It's not going to be, let's just throw the kids in, because you're not going to, dare I say, you just don't win promotion just with loads of 20 and 21-year-olds and 19-year-olds. You know, it's why we signed the Beavers of the world and the Thompsons of the world. And, you know, those players in key positions, we're still going to have 2 or 3 of them. But I don't want 8, 9, 10 of them in the, you know what I mean? So, because 2 things. 1, they're on a lot more wages. You know, 2, you know, as football changes and everything else, they're not assets, you know, in that way, and you always have to have that in the club. And if they are with you, they have to put in the performances to justify why you're paying them the big wages. Do you know what I mean? So they're all the things you look at, and that's I thought a lot about it the last 2 weeks being away. Even though I'm away, I'm always thinking, okay, summertime, you know, this is it now, and we have to get a lot of things right, you know, off the pitch, on the pitch. So yeah, key thing.
Now, you mentioned manager there, you know, and I see people pitching you on Twitter, various different managers who are out of jobs at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, what does that look like in terms of getting ready? Because we've talked about, you know, how Darragh is short term, he'll be here till the summer, then it's kind of time to move on.
Yeah.
Are you actively looking and soliciting applications right now, or are you is your time frame a little bit different?
No, out of respect to Darragh, like, he wouldn't be going and doing interviews for jobs. Do you know what I mean? But, you know, we've kind of got a full football program on. My plan is last week of April, you know, going into May, you know, having my list together and then going over to the UK, you know, and going through that process to have somebody by the end of May. So, and again, I don't want loads of headlines distracting or you know, being insulting to Darren, you know, right now. Oh, Darragh's looking to hire someone in May, you know, he knows it's short term, you know, and that's mutually agreed. So again, I don't want to step on any toes there, but there is a process to go through, and it'll be hopefully finalized early May and somebody in before the end of May, because I'm already working on pre-season and pre-season trips for pre-season, because we as a club have to book this early to be able to get facilities, to, you know, try and get games, you know, whatever else. You know, we had a chance to play Leicester in July at home, but the pitch won't be ready, and it didn't make any financial sense. We just, you know, so we're going through all that process now. But yeah, I mean, do I know who I want to hire and not we want to hire? No, of course not. You know, because things change. It could be someone in work, it could be someone out of work. You know, I'm excited by it, and everyone should be excited by it. You know, let's finish the season. You know, let's put ourselves in a really, really good position. So yeah, it is what it is. So, anything else about Posh before we get on to the mighty Bantams in the week they've had?
I don't think so. No, it was a pretty good week at the office. Whereas, you know, we had Gillingham away on a Tuesday that we talked about last week. How, you know, I was a little bit apprehensive, and you beating that out of me. You know, we went and we really controlled the game, and it was a pretty easy as these things go, 2-0 away win. So that was a really good win. You know, had everybody on a high, and then came to Colchester at the weekend. So yeah, it was with 20,000 in there. You know, great atmosphere in Valley Parade. The game wasn't the best game in the world. Colchester, you know, I was looking at both Gillingham and Colchester as being two teams whose current form belies their position in the league, because they're both relatively low in terms of position, but both been on good form. Colchester looked one of the better teams that I've probably seen this season. I think there's, you know, a lot of City fans will probably say, oh, they time wasted and, you know, dark arts and that kind of thing. But I think I was really impressed with some of their players. I had no idea they'd signed Matt Jay, which was interesting because he did really well for us against for Exeter last year, I think 3 times.
I'm the same. I'm amazed he ended up there. And that's not respect to Colchester. I thought he was Exeter's better players. But Colchester, because their academy is top tier, and a lot more money into that. They've produced some really good. I'm sure you'll tell me there's a few good young. I know there's 3 or 4 very good players in the Colchester team.
Yeah, I saw there was one junior Chamadou who really stood out. I think I was surprised because I'd not necessarily seen or heard of him before, and then I go and look back, and he's a right back. Well, he was probably one of the most attacking players in their team, and was a menace every time he had the ball. So I think he's got a good career ahead of himself. Only 21, and I think he's played 100 times already.
Really in the championship in no time.
So yeah, it kind of was playing itself out to be a bit of a frustrating, you know, pack the ground and not really deliver. And then 93rd minute up pops Andy Cook again. I think his 22nd goal in all competitions now.
I wanted to get rid of this guy 6-7 months ago.
It's really funny, you know, you think about the beginning of the season, we'd bought Vidane Oliver to replace him, basically. I'm not sure if we had the budget to pay for him, and we had Hull in the cup, and he played and he scored, and we got to the next round, which got us some budget, more than likely to keep him. And it just shows that, I mean, with some competition, he's really having the season of his life. So
fantastic.
You can never. It reminds me, back in the day, we had a left back called Wayne Jacobs, and this was going back to like our Premier League days. And every single season, we'd sign a new left back to replace him. And every single season, you know, give it 5 or 10 games, he was back in the team. And there's just those players sometimes that maybe thrive on that competition.
Yeah, no, brilliant. I mean,
So
I saw my Twitter feed is non-stop, like just that goal. It's like because I don't mind the new layout of Twitter. I know everyone's moaning like fuck, but I actually quite like it. That brings up other people in football, other people you like, whatever. I find it quite funny, and it's just constantly on my feet since Saturday. You know what I mean? Like fucking Cook's fucking that. I mean, what do they say? Rises like a salmon. You know?
Yeah, it came from nowhere, and
great.
Just that there was a behind the goal camera of just the noise of the ball on his head.
Phil, the crowd. What was it? 21,000?
It was 20,500 or something like that, and there were 300 from Colchester.
Ludicrous at League Two level. I mean,
yeah.
Fair play to the fans. Fair play to you. Fair play to everyone. And you're now 3 points from automatic promotion. It's on.
Yeah, we've got in the run of form, hopefully at the right time. So it's interesting what you say about before about Plymouth. You kind of if it worked, go with the same team. So that's the last 3 games we've just named the same 11 each time, and it's interesting. Mark Hughes said after when was it, after Gillingham, because he said he had the same time we had Doncaster away, so that took a lot out of him. But he said the running stats were the best of the year, so he thought he's going to go with the same team down at Gillingham, thinking they might be a bit leggy. He got the stats back from that, and they were even better than the Doncaster game. So he says they're just all kind of feeling it at the moment.
You're there. So you know a team, when they're like a quarter of a season left or a third season left or whatever else, and you suddenly put those wins together. Is it 3 in a row in a week, 3 in 7 days or whatever else?
Yeah.
You're there. You're on the precipice now of you're pretty much going to win every game bar the odd disappointment, which is going to mean you're going up. So you're there.
Hopefully, let's see how it pans out. We've got Walsall away tomorrow and Newport away on Saturday.
No bother.
So let's hope that away form, because that's really what's got us to where we are at the moment. See if that away form continues.
Listen, you're there. And not only are you there, it won't be the playoffs, it'll be automatic promotion. Obviously, that's Stephen wobble, and it's there to be had. So very excited for you and all the fans, and you deserve it. So, absolutely over the moon for you.
And that's what we're looking at. Yeah, 3 points off third at the moment. We have a game in hand over Northampton, who are in fourth. They're a couple of points above us, but what's that? 1, 2, 3, 5 wins in 6. So
amazing.
Let's hope that we keep that momentum.
It's exciting. It really is. So listen, power to you. You got the crowd. You've got that momentum. And long may it continue. And hopefully you're absolutely, by the end of the season, you're back in League One.
Yeah, we were talking before we just came on air about because I posted on Twitter about the reaction to that goal. As I was flying from California back to Florida, and usually when you're in situations like that, you're able to kind of hold yourself, because that you don't want to be making a fuss. For that 1 second when that Andy Cook goal in, I completely forgot about my surroundings whatsoever. So I'm punching the air, shouting, "Get in there!" With everyone else, on the plane, sitting looking at their seats with their headphones in, wondering what the hell is going on. Waiting for the air marshal to come and invite me to the front of the plane.
It's the passion of football, it's the emotions we go through, So, I'd probably, if you put a video of me on some games, just on my own, I'd probably look like a fucking lunatic. I can only imagine. Yep. I'd probably look like a crazed serial killer, sat there watching, some of those guys, like the Exeter game from 2-1 to 3-2. I think my missus was doing something in the corner. I painted one of the rooms of the walls, and said I was just like, I fucking lost my shit. You know what I mean? All emotions. Anyway, let's not talk bad memories.
So, and the other thing for us is we announced our season tickets as well for next year.
You're giving them away usually.
Well, so it's really interesting what we've done this time around. So yes, we've frozen the prices, but only until towards the end of April.
Yeah.
So it's £199 for 4 of us, 2 adults, 2 kids. It's £430 in total. But after something like April 23rd, I think it is, it goes up to, well, actually they take them off sale until we know what league we're in, but then they're going to go up to 300.
Yeah.
So it's the first time that we've actually done what I would consider more normal season ticket prices, to encourage, of course, everyone to buy early. But actually, if we get promoted and there's a clamour for but people are on the fence to wait, then it's going to be another 50% higher.
Yeah,
price.
That makes sense. I mean, we obviously, when we were having the discussions, it was like, well, someone said, are these too cheap if we're suddenly by some chance getting into the championship again? And we were like, well, that's just the way it is, when you're doing your season tickets. So, you're priced always very, very, I always say it's too low, but you just get the take up. I'm sure 20,000 odd people will have season tickets by the summer.
Yeah. And, and it's only, from a business perspective, I think it's only too cheap when you've got a line of people on a wait list.
Yeah.
So, once and I forget which club it was, maybe it was Leeds. Leeds was, I read this morning how they putting their prices up by 10 or 20% next season, but they have 20,000 people on a wait list. So, yeah, from a business, I mean, it's not nice for those who end up getting priced out, but when you put your business hat on, you can see why you would do that.
Oh, of course. Like I said, everyone's feeling it. It's not just fans who are feeling it. Owners are feeling it. Clubs are feeling it. Everyone's getting hammered. It's just the way of the world. Let's not get political. It's just the way of the world. Everyone's like struggling from that perspective. You know what I mean? So it's no different. Everyone's mortgage rates are gone up. And, fucking everything. The price of fucking butter. Everything has gone up. So
So let's talk Premier League. And anything interesting happened yesterday?
I'll tell you what. I enjoyed that. I was watching it before I took the family to see Creed 3. I enjoyed that, the old Rocky movies. But I'd had a bet with Darragh. You know what I mean? We made a little bet on Saturday. A friendly bet, by the way. I wasn't breaking any EFL rules. It was like a verbal freebie bet. And he was like, what do you think the score will be? And I said, it'll either be Liverpool will smash you or 2-1 to United. And he was like, really? And I said, yeah. I said, I'd said a few weeks ago, didn't I, that if Liverpool have a result of some sort, they're capable, because I've always said Jurgen Klopp, of going on a run. Now they're out of all the cups. They're going to be out of the Champions League soon as well. I actually think they can get third place. I actually think United's noisy neighbours aren't quite dead yet. And 7 points behind United with 13 games to go, while United have got the FA Cup, they got the Cup, they've got obviously, the league. I think Liverpool can go on a serious run, finish the season strong. What's nice is they have that energy back. I watched them against Wolves just before, and I thought, okay, what I liked is the front three are starting to click. Who plays in there, whether it be Jota was during the week. Yesterday was back to Gakpo, and I like Darwin. I've always said I like Darwin Nunez, Salah. That front three are clicking. And he might have found even Diaz is due to come back. So now he's got those options. They're still going to have to spend. Listen, if the owners think yesterday means they don't need to spend in the summer on midfield, they're fucking deluded. They do. But what I liked is, I'm sick of hearing about people say to me, yeah, but Jurgen Klopp in Germany 7 years and da-da-da, and it's like completely different circumstances. I'm telling you now, let him rebuild and we'll go again. So that didn't surprise me yesterday. 7-0, maybe 4 or 5-0 wouldn't have surprised me after what we did to them last year. So yeah, interesting, great, because I've got pals of mine who are United followers on Twitter.
Yeah, I saw some of the back and forth.
Sick of fucking reading the fucking love-in and how like we're done and our obituary and fucking this, that, whatever else. I've always said to you the last couple of years, as long as Jurgen's there, we'll be okay. And, I think we will get third place. I do. So that was interesting. Arsenal's comeback against Bournemouth was interesting.
Yeah. Goal after 10 seconds and then goal with the last kick of the game.
Yeah. That was kind of Arsenal's Sheffield Wednesday moment, where Man United years ago scored 2 goals in injury time to win at Sheffield Wednesday, I believe. It was the one with Ferguson and was it Mike Phelan were on the pitch? It was Brian Kidd. They were on the pitch afterwards. And that was kind of like United's get over the hump, win that game late in the season and go on and win the title. Yeah. I'd like Arsenal to win. The only thing that can help Arsenal is if Man City get distracted now by the late stages of the Champions League.
Yeah.
And they want to win that. But their squad is so strong. I mean, so strong. But fair play to Arteta and the Arsenal players. They've come back against Villa. They've now come back against Bournemouth. Mm-hmm. They should never have been 2-0 down to a team struggling in Premier League at home. Were they 2-0 down? Is that right?
Yeah, they were 2-0 down.
Yeah. So, yeah, interesting. What else was going on? Tottenham lost again. Brighton, fucking unbelievable.
Yes, thumped West Ham.
Jeez. I was only saying the other day, it'd be fine with Moyes and whatever.
Right.
Fucking wow. No, interesting, really interesting, and I think in the championship, I think Southampton had a good win as well, didn't they? Some of the teams down the bottom.
Let's have a look. I don't see that. Oh yes, they did. They beat Leicester.
Yeah.
I guess pulling Leicester. I mean, it's closer that you've got 3 points now between Bournemouth in 20th and Leicester in 15th.
Yeah, Brendan they need to get Maddison properly fit and go on a run. Without him, they don't win games. I was going to say the championship second place is looking interesting.
So we've got Sheffield United, who have been they lost 3 and 4 now.
I still think they go up. I still think their squad's too strong. I still think they've got loads of experience in there. I do. I think they'll go up, and then the playoffs are going to be unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable. I mean, Luton are still like flying, aren't they? I mean, it's just incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like wow.
They're fifth at the moment. And I guess, positive for Coventry. You know, I think all the way back to the start of the season when we're talking about Coventry bottom, and you're like, you know, this is a false position based on everything they had with the stadium. But they won 4-0 away at Huddersfield. It's not looking good for Huddersfield right now.
No, they're having bottom. Yeah, they're having problems. I mean, Birmingham, Huddersfield, and QPR lost again, didn't they? They're getting dragged into anything down there.
Yeah, QPR. They've lost the last 5 and they're in 20th now. They're still 7 points off the bottom 3, but you know, at the moment there's a 6-point gap between Blackpool in 22nd and Cardiff in 21st. So either side of the relegation line.
A fair play to Rotherham. They look like they're going to stay up this year now.
Yeah,
they had a good winner. It was QPR. They battered on Saturday. So that's getting really interesting. It's all getting tetchy. It's all touch cloth at the moment. Some of these leagues, and even having a non-league, the mighty Wrexham have now gone above Notts County, you know, so it's kind of like 2 games. Yeah, it's kind of over, isn't it?
It feels like it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You've got to hope that Notts County win that playoff. I mean, I know I'd love to see somebody like a Woking in the Football League, but you could have 2 teams that have 100+ points there.
That will be I personally I'd like to see Barnet win the playoff.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a really great relationship with
a Barnet owner. Yeah. Idris Khan, who's now scoring goals, which I always knew him. He won't be there long if he continues. I'd like to see Barnet kind of gate crash that and kind of go up, you know. So because I know like how much money Tony has put in there at Barnet.
Yeah.
It would be good to see them go up. But I mean, if Notts County don't go up, I mean, it would be a dagger to the heart because they're like their form.
How do you come back from that? How do you come back from getting 100 points plus? I mean, they're on 84 at the moment after 36 games and not getting promoted.
It's fucking ludicrous. I mean, ludicrous.
They've lost 2 games all season. They've scored 90 goals.
Ludicrous. They have a team that could win League 2. They could. So it's ludicrous. So you only hope the football gods are praying on them and shining a light on them and they go up, because those playoffs, as we saw last year, I think Grimsby, Grimsby beat Wrexham. They beat, who else did they beat? Solihull. They beat like 3 of the toughest teams on their way up last year. I was looking at it going, it was like mission impossible what Grimsby did. So just shows you in football, anything's possible.
Yeah, I read that they could have 50 points more than the team that finished in 7th by the end of the season, quite feasibly.
Oh, dearie me, God almighty.
And you know, you mentioned Barnet. They had a really good result away at Southend on Friday.
Correct.
So Barnet 4th now, I see.
Yeah, Idris scored. So
yeah.
So.
And Scunthorpe, you know, I have to kind of shout them out 23rd, and it's not looking good. They've only won they've won 1 in 5. They haven't won in 4. 23rd.
So I'm gonna have to defend Jimmy there. He's a Peterborough boy.
Yeah.
He used to be at Peterborough Sports. And I think I've seen, if you look at the fixtures and the teams they've played, they weren't the kindest for his like 5-6 weeks. And obviously I think they have a new owner. They brought in 12 players. Yeah. If they give him a chance, he will have them in the Football League in 2 years.
Yeah.
If they have a bit of patience and whatever, even if they went down, I wouldn't be concerned, because he would bounce back with 2 promotions, in my opinion. I know the work he did at Peterborough Sports, and what his players thought of him, and I think he's got a good owner there, and he'll get the support. And I think they, you know, how far are they out of it? Are they really in trouble?
They are 6 points off 20th, and they've played either 1 or 2 games more.
Oof.
So it's not looking good. But do you think that when they brought him there, it's a we want to do everything we can to stay up, of course, but it's a project.
I think, yeah, with a new owner, a new manager, it was 12 new players. They're obviously trying to, a bit like what Gillingham did in January, trying to have a right go, and it's worked for Gillingham. But I think you got to give him a chance. He's been basically like, running a club with, budgets and everything else. The things he did at Peterborough Sports were magnificent. So I think the Scunthorpe fans, if they're getting a bit negative about him, and I hope they're not, they need to just hang on, because they will be fine. They might have to be fine going down to go up, but they'll be fine.
And Oldham are down in 15th, and they're pretty safe, but again, it just shows the difference in quality. There isn't that much of if at all, difference in quality between League Two and the National League. Thinking about Oldham, I keep seeing, because I think he went to Burton maybe from Oldham, but Keeler Dunn, who ended up at Mansfield, he's one of those strikers that always scores against us, and I just see him continuing to do well at Mansfield. And he's one of those that I think, one that got away, because he's a pretty prolific lower league striker.
And I'll say this as well, like I look through the leagues and I see when you start bringing names out like that to me, Oldham, then I always go back to my first ever game watching the Posh, even before I owned them, was, and I took Natalie. She was, I think, 6 months pregnant with Callum, and he was now 17. And I always remember we went to watch Peterborough play Darlington at our place, and Darlington battered us. Yeah, battered us. 1-3-1, and they were like the big, in the league at the time. And you had so many teams: Hereford, Torquay, all these clubs that were above us, doing better than us. And now, Notts County, all these clubs, they were like miles ahead of us, leagues above. Yeah. And now, like, some of them are out of existence. Darlington went out of business. Hereford went out of business. And other clubs.
Aldershot was another one.
That was another one. And now they're, some of them are now in non-league. It's just incredible. I mean, seriously, it's like just madness. Yeah. So,
for us, York was always a big rivalry, and then they dropped down like Stockport did, all the way to National League North.
We were fighting Stockport in League One playoffs, and some of these, and again, I always say about the fans are always a little bit anti-me, and it's not blowing my own trumpet or whatever else, but like, I do my best. Yes, I piss people off, but at the end of the day, my intentions are always for the club to do as well as it can do, and definitely not to take the club into non-league or into non-existence like a lot of people have. So, but yeah, that's just the thankless task sometimes. You know what I mean? When you set expectations and you fall short of them, you open yourself up for a certain percentage of people to get a bit angry at you, I guess.
Yeah. It's always, it's the same for us. We got a lot of angry fans who think that because we get big crowds, we shouldn't be in League Two. Well, we talk about every week on here, you're in the position that you deserve to be in.
Correct.
And I think there's just more anger that comes out every year. More, I don't know. I think sometimes there's nothing that will keep people happy, and it's just kind of the way it is. But those voices get amplified.
Yeah, 100%.
So we have let's see if we have a question or two here. We have one from Stephen, who's a Celtic fan.
Yeah.
And he's just talking about the success at Celtic that the manager is doing there. And he just wondered if you could suggest why more clubs don't look to the markets that Celtic have utilised, and specifically talked about Japanese players.
Oh, yeah. They found a niche, haven't they? And now other clubs are piling in there. Like something in Scotland about Australia as well. Australian players, managers, And yeah, Japan has been, for Celtic, massive. So fair play to them. The recruitment team have found a little niche market. Worked it really well, great value for players. They're now worth a lot of money. I was wrong, obviously, on Celtic's manager. At the start, I was reminded that by a Celtic fan. He's turned that club around really quickly. I said it last week, good management makes a difference, right? The guy, the United manager previous to the 7-0, 7-0, result yesterday. You say good manager, what he's done. And unfortunately, there's still quite a few of those players in there, as shown yesterday at Anfield, that from the previous regimes aren't going to win them league titles. Every team has them, and you've got to rebuild, retool, bring better players, whatever it might be. But yeah, Celtic have done terrific, absolutely amazing. So, well,
when you were looking to a market like that, is it? It's a club like Celtic obviously have the resources to around the world.
3-4 million pound players. I couldn't look at that market. We couldn't afford it because they're still spending a couple of million, even 3 million, 4 million, and they're still paying those players probably 15 grand, 20 grand a week. You know, Peterborough can't look at that market. No, of course not. You know, do I know about it? Of course I do. Do I know there are, you know, some great players there? Yeah. The other thing is the work permits. Now that works. And I guess some of the players have got international caps and whatever, but it's not a market we could go into and buy and shop in, but I'm very aware of them. But there's loads of markets I'm aware of. We just can't shop in them.
Yeah. How do you look at the Scottish league structure and apply the levels to the EFL? So what I mean is, do you look at it and say, well, the Championship in Scotland is like League One or like League Two or
lower?
You know,
yeah, I would say the Championship's probably below League. I would say Ipswich, Sheffield Wednesday could play in the Scottish Premier League at the moment. Yeah, you know, and I don't want to be derogatory, you know, but it's the financial gulf. I know Rangers and Celtic have the power to spend money. When I say money, you know, lower Premier League budgets, top Championship budgets, they have the power because of the gates, what they have. Then your other clubs around there, I know the wages they're paying, and they're similar to League One wages. How do I know? Because I've sold players there.
Yeah,
I know what they've, and even I've had players who Scottish clubs couldn't afford their wages. So I know it's the disparity financially what they're fighting. So a few of those clubs in the top league in Scotland, you would probably put in the top tier of League One.
Yeah,
lower rung of the champ, if that, because of the wage bill. So, you know, I saw a thing yesterday with wage bills for some of the Championship clubs. I saw Coventry and Luton, and it was like wage bills were like 12, 13 million. I think it was Kieran Maguire put up some things. There's very few clubs in Scotland, bar the top 2 or 3, who've got wage bills over 8, 9, 10 million. And I would think I might have got that wrong, and I apologize if I do, but some of the figures were colossal. And when you see that, it's the Championship to League One. It's just gone like that in wage difference over the years. It wasn't like that 10 years ago. Swallow a fly, sorry.
No worries.
Next question.
You know, and that goes a little bit to what we were talking about last week, in that now, you know, we talked a bit, I don't know, 20 years ago, it's the gap between the Premier League and the Championship. Now it's the gap between the Championship and League One. Now the clubs like Ipswich and Sheffield Wednesday and their wage bills versus Accrington and, I mean, I know that's an outlier in Forest Green, but it's still in the same division. That disparity, even within a league now, at League One level, is far different than it was 5 years ago.
It's why it's why I like financial fair play. It's why I like a wage cap. I was a big fan of that 2-3 years ago. And we couldn't do it properly because it was challenged legally and whatever. But I was like, put me on a level playing field with the big boys, and we'd all have to spend the same money. And I will always favour myself, as shown a couple of years ago when it started during COVID. We all had to have the same budget. We won promotion. But now, you know, Wednesday and Saturday at 35,000 fans, I would like to see the gate receipts versus our 7,000-8,000 fans from our home game. Multiply that by 23 games, and you see the kind of financial power they have. And it's tough, but it's not impossible. And Accrington, with I think the 2,500, 3,000 or whatever it was on Saturday, again, which is half of what we get, it's even tougher. But they're magnificent, and that's just good management. That's just good operational sense. But it's getting tougher. Ipswich are blowing people away. I saw an article during the week with Mark Ashton, where they bought Premier League players, young players, they've gone a different way. £1 million, £1 million. You know, they've gone down that route, and it's worked really well for them, and they're going to be assets. But again, a lot of clubs couldn't afford, you know, to pay those kind of transfer fees. But they're doing it a certain way. We've done that. Mark was saying, we spent $1 million on him, $1 million on him, $1 million on him. You know, if you look at our team, we've got multiple players we've spent over £1 million on. You know, there was an article last week from the BBC talking about Mo Ice being a record signing at £1 million. You know, Clark Harris cost us over £1.4 million. You know, as a transfer fee. So we've done that. You know, Ipswich are doing, I think they're doing the right thing. I think they're recruiting really well. They play a certain style of football. You look at the statistics, you know, they could still nick top. It's getting interesting there. So it's tough. It's really, really tough. And particularly when you're a club that maybe comes from League Two, like a Forest Green, you know, we've actually got a rich owner, by the way, so they could actually spend. Who else is down there struggling?
Morecambe
are unbelievable.
Yeah.
They had a draw against Bolton on Saturday. I mean, what Morecambe were doing, I think they're going to have a new owner, aren't they? Who's going to be wealthy. But what they're doing already with a budget, I'm always very. I smile when I see clubs who don't spend a lot of money, define the football odds. I do smile, and I think it's just incredible. So, but look, it is what it is. You can't complain. You're all in the league, and you've got to compete as best you can, and you've got to get the best out of your players. That's life.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the table, actually. I was surprised to see Fleetwood up in 14th.
Yeah.
Because, last time I really looked at the table, they were really struggling down there.
Yeah.
But they've put a good run together.
Yeah, I think Andy's back the manager in January. I think they're not in any danger of going down. I think who's down? Are MK Dons still struggling down?
Yeah, so you got Forest Green bottom, Cambridge in 23rd, MK Dons 22nd, Morecambe 21st, Accrington, and then Burton. I don't think Burton have done a great job to continue to stay at that level.
Always do. Like, well-run club. I think their manager's done all right. Who do you think's going down in that league?
I mean, you got to say Forest Green. It's not looking good for Cambridge. I don't know where. I was talking to one of my colleagues who's a Cambridge fan, who was with me in California this week. Like, where did that run of thought? Give it 6 months ago, they were really riding the crest of a wave. Manager was really highly thought of, and the bottom fell out. And so I'm not sure that I see them turning that around anytime soon.
It happens though. We went on a similar run in the championship. We didn't start that badly in the champ. We were doing okay. We were winning games. We beat Derby on TV. We're 2-0 up against Cardiff. We were high at the time in the table. And then suddenly I think we just before Christmas beat Millwall at our place, and then just suddenly the arse fell out of everything.
Yeah,
you stop winning, and you have a few bad results, and a few bad results turn into a terrible run of results, and the pressure, and then it's the negativity, and before long, you don't know when you're going to win another game of football. And football can be like that, just like with Bradford.
Yeah,
when you stay somewhere and you're still in there, and you suddenly win 3 or 4 in a row, you feel unbeatable. You're going to win 10, 15 in a row. And some teams do that, but it goes the other way. And I want Cambridge to stay in the league. I want them to be okay. I want MK Dons to stay in the league. You know what I mean? But sometimes when it's on you, and you're in that rut. Yeah. You could hire 15 new managers. You could bring in Jose Mourinho, whatever. And it's not always just you got shit players. You didn't recruit well. Just sometimes things go against you.
Yeah.
You can't see the forest for the trees, and you can't get your way out of it. And that's life. And that's where it's going to be an interesting end to the season. I mean,
Yeah, and I can't, at least on current form, the 4 that are there deserve to be there based on current form, and so there's not one that I look at that says, they've had a couple of wins recently, maybe they're putting a run together, they're going to get out of there. So I know it's still pretty close, so it only takes one good result to get out of there, but it's going to be probably between I say Cheltenham on down, so Cheltenham, Burton, Accrington, Morecambe, MK Dons, Cambridge, Forest Green. Accrington have got a couple in hand over the rest of them, so that gives them, and they've probably had the best form of the lot of them.
Yeah.
So I guess time will tell.
They won't be in trouble. I think they were distracted. They were in the semi-final of the Cup, the EFL Trophy. So it will be interesting. Just like the race at the top will be interesting. So we're getting now 13 games left, the nitty-gritty side of the season. It's now, we say, it's was it squeaky bum time as they go.
All right, well, let's call that a day.
No other questions
today. No other questions, and selfishly, I've got to run to another meeting as well.
Go do your thing.
So we got to wrap it up. Any questions, please do keep them coming. Contact at hardtruthfootball.com or on any of the social media channels. Send them over, and Henry collates them all and sends them over to us before we speak.
Brilliant, my man. Listen, have a great week, and I'll speak to you later.
Will do. Thanks, everybody. Take care.